Hey, Amie,
Yeah, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amie Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amie Cuevas. I'm Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you are listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Rate us, write us a review, help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Give us that thumbs up, hit that notification button, leave us comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. Amie, ¿cómo estás?
Hey, what's up, amigo?
Long time no chat.
It feels like forever, but I think it's technically only been a week.
That's right. All right, let's get right into it. Let's talk some baseball. So before we get and talk some baseball, though, pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. Amie, do we have updates?
Oh my gosh, we do. But before the updates, we do have a couple comments to call out from
Okay.
last episode. So shout out to Roland and his kiddos because they've been listening during the drop offs and they were very appreciative for reading his comment last week. Jose Ayala did want to let you know that, yes, he is bringing a lot of people. It is a family of 6. And so when he goes to games and it costs $700, it's typically because he has his whole family there and he's hoping to go to the Otani game. And then we got a couple other comments. So El Cerebro had a couple things to say. He is not a fan of the same teams playing over and over again. He wants to spread it out during the season because we were talking about how bunched up the season has been in the beginning, playing the Cubs, the Diamondbacks, the Marlins over and over again. But he did mention that he likes to listen to radios at the game. So sometimes fans will ask him about plays when they're happening. I experienced the same thing. And he said he is part of the umpire view for replay only club. So he doesn't like seeing the umpire cam in real time. And we also had another listener, Sam, reach out and say that he viscerally hates the ump view from Fox. There's no advantage to seeing it and no value to him. So it's just kind of a summary of all of the comments we got in our comments corner last week.
And shout out to Roland's kids. Hey, kids, your dad
Hi.
is famous. Your dad is famous. So let's get some respect to your father as he's dropping you guys
Whoa.
off at school there.
You be nice to them.
Well, I'm just saying. It sounds like
Hey,
maybe
hey.
Roland gets some grief from his children, and it's just like Roland is a good man. Roland is a good
Uh,
man. He
I,
he is a star. And yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how you interpret these things this way all the time. I feel like they were impressed with
All right.
his.
If I'm wrong, children, if you weren't giving your dad a hard time, my apologies to you. 1,000 pardons. A
Stay
thousand
in school.
pardons.
Stay in school.
Just seems like you guys were giving Roland a hard time because we gave him a shout out on the show, and we gave him a shout out because Roland's a big supporter, and so we want to give love to our supporters. Okay,
Yeah.
update.
So that was all the updates I had around the horn. Anything on your docket?
Nothing on my part. Let's get into it. We got a jam packed episode. We got a lot of baseball to talk, and let's start with updates.
Yeah, hey, let's start there. So I have a couple other ones, but we have like breaking news. The Dodgers acquired Stuart Baroa for cash considerations from the Blue Jays today. So just a couple hours ago, he was DFA'd last week by Toronto. Last year he was hitting 189 over 28 games. This year he's been hitting 195 in AAA. So
There we go. It's
a
it's
new
time to
project.
shop at the Dollar Tree, ladies and gentlemen. It makes you wonder: is someone struggling with an injury that we're not aware of, and we're going to find out fairly soon? Because I'm assuming this move was made for depth, so I'm very curious as
Which
to
is
what's going to come down the road.
Which is puzzling to me because we do have the depth. I'm not saying like we have Chris Taylor who is hitting again. He's above the Mendoza line. You've got Kike who can play all around the field. So those are both outfielders. So if you think you don't have depth with Pages out there and Conforto, as we're going to talk about, his starting to find his swing again, and you've got Outman out there. I mean, with Edman and that's part of our updates about Edman and Teoscar. Feels like we still have some depth out there.
Well, Edmund was supposed to be back, and then they changed their mind and said he'll be back against the A series. We still don't know if he will be activated tomorrow. I'm a little curious. What if one of those injuries is to one of those people that you just named right now?
Do you think? Oh, so everybody, we're going to be playing a game of freeze tag today. Juan has opted to be our freezer, so unfreeze.
Am I frozen? See, I have no clue.
You froze for a second, and now you're unfrozen.
See, I have no clue that I freeze. I don't know, because I know you're probably going to cover this in your updates, but I didn't see the Evan Phillips injury coming. All of a sudden, they put him on the list and I know they said he's precautionary as to why they put him on the injured list, but I didn't see that one coming. I thought we were kind of past injuries with him since he was coming back from an injury, but I guess that's what this Dodgers team is we just should never be surprised whenever there's injuries.
I mean, I don't know why you are surprised at this rate.
Well, and that's why when I see
easier to live in the land of what you gonna do?
That's why when I see a move for a former Blue Jays player, Nazulejo, who's hitting under less than 200, I have to assume that move.
No, you don't have to assume anything. You just take it as we got a guy, and we'll see what happens.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that the news that we wake up to tomorrow is that Tommy Edmonds is being activated from the injured list, and things will go back to normal.
According to my Yahoo Sports under my my fantasy team, they're it's almost flopped. Where they were very pessimistic about Teoscar, they're actually more optimistic about him. Actually, let's just get into the updates. So last week, we found out that Teoscar Hernandez, after Monday's game against the Marlins, in the bottom of the third, he was chasing down a line drive in the gap, and he felt tightness in his hamstring and his adductor. So he did end up going on the IL as of Tuesday. They went and they had an MRI done, and he had a grade 1 adductor strain. So initially, it was a very pessimistic outlook. They didn't know when he was going to be coming back. And it turns out he could be back in as soon as 2 weeks. They're more hopeful than those initial reports, but he's slated to take live at bats during the next homestand, which actually starts tomorrow. We're recording Monday night. There is no game this evening, so Tuesday will be that first game against who are we playing?
The A's
Athletics. The Sacramento Athletics. The Sacramento Athletics. The Sacramento Athletics. So he could be taking some at bats, not in the game, but just live at bats. We'll see. So that was a sad face turned maybe happy face. And then, as we found out, Tommy Edman, who still has that right ankle injury as of the 30th of April, he's still experiencing discomfort when running in a straight line. So he's supposed to have some live at-bats this week. We'll see. But in addition to that, we had some corresponding moves because of those ILs stints. So they recalled JP Fireisen, James Outman on Tuesday, and they DFA'd Yondris Gomez. And then Wednesday, they recalled Landon Knack and then optioned JP Fireisen after he appeared in a game. And as you mentioned, on Wednesday, we found out that Evan Phillips was going to the IL as a precautionary move for soreness between outings. So he's not experiencing it while he's pitching. It's just between outings. So they're just trying to take extra caution with him. Did you have something to say about that?
No, I'm just waiting for you to finish the updates.
Oh, okay. Last couple. So as of Monday today, both Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow were supposed to go to the team doctors. Snell is still experiencing discomfort in his throwing shoulder, so he has not resumed catch yet. Glasnow was out on that shoulder inflammation, but he did play catch over the weekend, and he didn't really experience any pain in that throwing shoulder. And then last but not least, Kershaw could be throwing as soon as this Sunday's game against the Angels, because that's when he is eligible to come off the 60-day IL. We don't know for sure. I haven't seen anything confirming it. But he says that his arm is good. His toe is a little farther behind. It's that final push off in his delivery where he's still experiencing some, I don't know if it's discomfort, but just differences in that. But we could see him sooner rather than later. So those are all my updates outside of some NL Player of the Week stuff and some other old friends of the team.
I wonder if that Kershaw start on Sunday is really going to depend on how much work the bullpen gets this week. Because I think if we see another heavy usage of the bullpen this week, we might see Clayton Kershaw start on Sunday just because you don't want to have another bullpen game. But either way, if Kershaw's starting, I don't expect that Kershaw's going to go deep into that game. So you're going to have to use your bullpen. But it'll be very curious. Any other updates before we start talking some baseball?
Yeah, so Freddie Freeman did get NL Player of the Week. So with this, it's his 10th career weekly honor. It's his 5th since joining LA, and he is the 24th player overall to earn at least 10 weekly awards. So if any of you missed it last week, he went 14 for 28 with 3 doubles, 1 triple, 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, and 7 runs scored. And that's part of a 16-game stretch where he's slashed 475, 521, 852 with 6 doubles, a triple, 5 home runs, 22 RBIs, and 15 runs. So just great job by him. He did tell Dave Vassay recently that he's been fighting against a cut swing the last couple of years, and right now it's where he wants it. So he just feels really good where he's at. And did you have?
No,
You
go
are
ahead.
frozen. Oh, okay. And then Daniel Hudson did get his World Series ring over the last series away. So he just was commenting on how last year he was pretty sure it was going to be his last season, and then he started having doubts. And then, as the season went on and he got put on he said a 10-day timeout by Doc, he came back, and because of the team culture, the hard work and the sacrifices, they helped him go out on his own and on top. And he's just really grateful for that. So he finally got his ring.
And that was in Arizona, right?
I believe so. I don't know precisely off the top of my head because last week was a blur. So he got it during the away games, I'm going to go with.
It was in Arizona. He was wearing the gold Dodgers jersey that
I
they
love
wore.
everything gold.
That they wore when they got their rings, and he got interviewed in the pregame scrum. In that, so that's nice of them to go ahead and do that. We saw them do it earlier with Brent Honeywell, and so at this point, the Kenny Powders cosplayer got his ring. So I'm wondering who else down the line they might end up giving a ring to, as everyone. I mean, Joe Kelly.
Maybe. Yeah.
If
I mean, I don't know if he already got his or.
I know, I'm very curious. I'm trying to think of people on that squad that were on that squad last year that won the World Series who hasn't publicly gotten their ring.
Brazier got his recently when they played the Cubs, I believe.
Yeah, so maybe it's just Mariachi Joe. Maybe they're gonna especially invite him to the stadium. I don't think Mariachi has given up prospects on wanting to play baseball this year. So,
but he only wants to play for the Dodgers, so it's a small pool to choose from.
so it's going to be a little awkward then. All right, so that's all we got up for updates.
I mean, unless you have anything off the top of your head.
I do not have any updates. So let's talk some baseball. Let's talk about what that Miami. So the Dodgers finally finished. This is the longest road trip of the season, 10 games. They were 6-4, so it was a winning road trip. They won 2 out of 3 against the Marlins of Miami. They lost that heartbreaker in extra innings, and of course, JP Fireeisen has to be the one that shows up immediately and just get thrown in the fire. And then they ended up splitting the series with the Serpientes. The first time that they've actually seen a team in the National League West that is not the Rockies of Colorado. So in terms of that Marlins series, Amie, what stood out for you?
Definitely. I mean, there were a lot of position player accomplishments, but overall it was just the bullpen usage. There were a lot of articles that came out on social media about needing to have better pitch efficiency. I was looking at the numbers, and there was only one pitcher who went more than 5 innings, and that was Dustin May on Saturday. Everything else was like 4 innings pitched, 5 innings pitched. Nobody really made it beyond that point. And when that happens, you've got to have somebody to eat innings. At least in that Wednesday game, when you had Landon Knack go 5 innings, you had Matt Sauer come in and clean up and do piggyback of 4 more innings. So it almost seems like they've got to do something like that, where we just start piggybacking with some of those more what am I trying to think? The long man just taking it if they can't go deeper into these games.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I'm so glad that Landon Neck bounced back. That was more of the Landon Neck that I was used to seeing. So I'm glad to see him have a bounce back start there against the Marlins. But that first game in Miami was a bullpen game. So again, when you're scheduling bullpen games as part of your rotation, I know a lot has been said that the Dodgers lead the league in bullpen innings and they are at the bottom in terms of getting innings out of their starters. Again, I don't think that's a good combination, but I go back to last year. They figured out a way to make it work last year. I have no doubts that they'll figure out a way to do it this year. But I also think that number is also a little bit misleading when you are scheduling 2 bullpen games basically a week to try to give guys like Roki and guys like Yamamoto an extra day of rest. Now, when we start talking about the D-back series, we can talk about that extra day of rest. I mean, Kershaw is coming. I think if you're the Dodgers right now, it's a really mixed bag when it comes to starting pitching because from
Sure.
the update that you just got, I was not expecting Blake Snell anytime soon, and to hear that he is still experiencing pain in his shoulder, that does not change it. I
And it
don't
does
expect,
not bode well for my fantasy team, let me tell you, because he's just languishing on my IL.
and I don't think we should be expecting Tyler Glass now back anytime soon either. So when you have those 2 starters down, I really think you're going to have to start looking at those young guys that you have, in particular, Robleski, Landon Knack, maybe making those guys more a part of the rotation for right now, and maybe try to give your bullpen a little bit of a break that way instead of scheduling these. Now, I get it. They played 10 games in a row, and that messed up. Prior to that, the Dodgers were taking advantage of the off days to be able to keep Yamamoto and Roki once a week. But for me, that Marlins series, of course, when you see the Marlins, you want the Dodgers to sweep. But they did what they were supposed to do. They won the series. They won 2 out of 3. It's a very successful road trip. As I said, I'm very encouraged by Landon Knack's start. I hope to see Landon Knack really just stay up maybe a little longer as opposed
Mhm.
to just automatically getting sent down again. But I get it.
Well, and
It's a
that's
numbers
what I
game.
mean, though. I'm not knocking the bullpen as far as, like, doing a bunch of innings. That I think they should be doing more piggybacking like what they did with, like, Knack and Sauer. Even that game where Kasperius came in, that first game that was a bullpen game, Kasperius still went 4 innings. So if you can do more of that, if you take out the bullpen games, though, you've still got Gonsolin going 5 innings, with the exception of May going 6 2/3. You've got Roki going 4 innings, Yama going 5, and then you've got Gonsolin prior to that going 5 innings. If you're taking completely out those other bullpen games, that's still 4 to 5 innings that the bullpen is eating on a regular starter, not a bullpen day. And the Dodgers will figure it out. I'm not worried about it. It's just something that caught my eye of, like, this is why you're seeing more of it in the media, because they are not going deep in games and somebody's got to pick those up. So whether it's getting, like I said, getting more of a long man role or a piggyback role, and then your bullpen really does only have to pick up. I mean, I know that longman's still going to be part of the bullpen, but they're not having to do individual, 1 inning at a time, where we're seeing, sometimes up to 5 and 6 pitchers in a game.
But I think the Dodgers want their starters to go 5 innings.
Yeah.
So, when you have guys like Gonsolin going 5, I think Dustin May going 6 or more than 6 is an outlier. I don't think that's the Dodgers want their pitchers, their starters going 5, and they are perfectly fine with the bullpen covering those 4 innings. I just feel that is their makeup. There is their strategy because they want to keep these starters fresh. I know that you have the excuse with Gonsolin because Gonsolin just came back and he hasn't pitched in 2 years, so you don't want to work him too hard in the beginning. I think one of the things that you're going to have to start looking at is what is going on with Roki. I think Roki, you can probably chalk it up to inconsistency, but
Or he's a
every
rookie.
Every
I mean,
time, and I'm not even talking about that. I don't think the inconsistency is the issue. I think the issue is, and every time the beat writers bring this up, every time he pitches, is his velocity is down. It's his velocity is fluctuating a lot. And so to me is the question you got to ask yourself, is his velocity down because he's tired? Is there something else going on? You mentioned this in the offseason before they signed him. His velocity was already down going into this season.
well, he had like soreness. He has like a burgeoning issue like coming. He came to LA knowing that he's probably going to have surgery at some point. He's been pitching hurt, if you will. So it's just a matter of time of when is that going to come to fruition, and can the Dodgers stave it off, and for how long?
And that's why, again, I go to keep Landon Knack up, get Robleski up, because
Give
it
them their
seems like,
reps.
from what you're telling me, it's a matter of no time before Roki goes down. And if that's the case,
Going by what he said in the offseason, yes.
And I want to bring this up right now, guys, is for everybody that is sitting there going, well, we're going to have Shohei coming up pretty soon, so we'll be fine. You know, I had already said that don't expect to see Shohei until after the All-Star break, which is now pretty much what they're all saying now is behind the All-Star break. But I just want to remind people, the last time when Shohei came back from a surgery, he did not pitch well. As a matter of fact, he pitched so bad that the Angels just shut him down for the rest of the season, didn't let him pitch, and just let him hit. So all I'm saying is, for those of you who are saying that Shohei's going to, he's part of the cavalry that's going to come and help the starting rotation and maybe give the bullpen a little bit of a break, I would pump the brakes on that, because I don't think it is a given that if Shohei does pitch, that he's even going to pitch well.
That's anybody coming back from injury. That's, Gonsolin, May, like anybody, like we saw with Buehler last year. People need a little bit of time to reacclimate. We're going to see the same thing with Kershaw when he comes back. He may not be like, don't be expecting the Kershaw of his earlier career. He's going to pitch as well as he's going to pitch. And we get what we get. They're going to do their best for this team. And I know that's going to go to what we're going to talk about later, but it's, celebrate what we do have. I mean, this is the baseball we have. So,
but it seems like to me, and this is by design by the front office, I don't think you can count on starting pitching. So when everybody's making a big deal about the bullpen is getting overworked, I think that is the Dodgers' plan, is the bullpen is going to carry them. They have a number of pitchers that they are going to figure out ways to get them rest. I know a lot of people right now were sending me messages about Daddy Bonda. Daddy Bonda has been,
when you call him that.
Daddy Bonda has been going.
He is so much more than that as a pitcher.
He's been going through some rough spot. Well, I don't know if you saw your friend Desert Doyer and what he did to Daddy Bonda on social media.
I don't recognize Daddy Bonda. I only recognize Anthony Bonda.
Look, he's had some rough outings. Now you have to sit there and wonder, are those outings as a result of he's getting used a lot?
I was going to say
early in this season, or is it just, a lot of people feel that if you're tired, that's when you make mistakes. So these mistakes that he is making, is he making them because he is tired? So I don't see any relief coming from starting pitching, because a lot of them are hurt. And if they aren't hurt, they're coming back from injuries. So the Dodgers are going to limit them because they don't want them to get hurt again. So this is all by design, because when you sign players that have a history of injuries.
Who's not injured in the MLB? Which pitchers were available that were not injured?
Well, I will say this: compare it to any other pitching staff already in this season. How many of them do they have the same number of injuries as the Dodgers? Is it safe to say that the Dodgers are leading the league in injuries in terms to their pitching staff?
I'm not going to say that because I don't know. I haven't done the research. I don't. I
For
mean, they
anybody
have
listening, any viewers, if you guys have those numbers and confirm them to me, because I feel that in terms of the ratio of the number of pitchers the Dodgers have,
I like that you're outsourcing your research to other people. for your statement.
Okay, I will research it myself. I'm hosting a show right now, so I don't have the ability to look it up right now, but I will answer my own question on the next episode. So that's going to be a cliffhanger. I
Dun,
just
dun,
I just
dun.
I just think, look, we saw this last year. I think we're going to see it again. And what is so crazy, Amy, is they're still in first place. They don't have the overall best record in Major League Baseball. I think they're tied now for the best record in Major League Baseball, but they're still finding ways to win. And it's
That's what I
May.
would say is I think that's also some of that regional. Like, I don't disagree with you. The Dodgers have an immense amount of injuries, but I think because we're not necessarily exposed to other teams and what they're going through. I mean, unless you're researching other teams at this point. Like, I know for me, when I'm going to keep going back to my fantasy team. When I go to try to swap out players, the leading part of my list is all starting pitchers, and the majority of them are on the IL. Like, there's no good pitchers in the good rankings range to be able to even pick. You've got to go back to like 600, 700, 800 ranked players to even get like good pitching at this point. So there are injuries across the league. It's just, I wonder how much of that we're seeing. Is it the same as the Dodgers? Probably not, but other teams are experiencing this. We just have a wealth of backups, if you will, where it doesn't impact us as bad.
I'm going to say back on myself to avoid a base running blunder. But at the time that we are recording this is Monday. The Dodgers do have the best record in Major League Baseball. They are 27 and 14. Exactly, 27 and 14. Now, the Tigres de Troyes.
Oh, hold on. We've got a freeze moment. Your max headrooming. So we're gonna give Juan a second to. He's got gusts in his area. We have a high wind advisory going on, and it seems to be impacting Juan's Wi-Fi. So we are lucky to even have him on here today. So we're just gonna be playing a little freeze tag. You're back with us, my friend. So what were you saying about? Yes.
Am I clear now? Okay.
You're
so the Tigres de Troyes are 26 and 15. So they are leading in their game currently. So and it's a big lead, 13-1. So they pretty safe to say will pick up their 27th win today. So they've played more games than the Dodgers, but the Tigres de Troyes are neck and neck with the Dodgers for the best record in Major League Baseball.
Who saw that coming?
Well, they made the playoffs last year. They
did do better. Yeah, towards the end of the year, they've got Flaherty. So,
they're building, and that's really all you want, right? Is you want the ability, if you're building a team and they're getting some success, you want to build on that and have them continue that. So I'm rooting for their success. I'm glad they're doing as well as they are doing. I want them to continue that way.
Speaking of success. Oh, did you have something you were going to say?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Freddie hit his 350th career home run on Monday against the Miami Marlins. And so he's actually the 101st player in MLB history to hit 350 career home runs, which I think we've talked about this last year. You're going to start seeing the decline of some of these records because players just either don't get enough playing time, just the way that the game is going. Some of these like stat leaders like Kershaw for the number of, I think it's strikeouts that he has. Freddie, he's trying to hit 3,000 in hits. Like some of these markers, we're not going to see at the same level as we have in the past. So when we get to see something like this, it's actually kind of cool. And for a split second before he went out on the IL, Teoscar was the MLB leader in RBIs Monday with 44. And then he went on the IL. So who knows where that record's going to land.
And shouts out to Federico. Like Federico, he deserved. I mean, he was the player of the week, but he has been on fire. It has just been so fun to watch him hit. And when that guy is right, man, he's going on a tear. He's absolutely going on a tear right now.
Monday was like a good day all around. Hye-Seong Kim had his first MLB hit. He singled in the top of the 5th. And then he got his first RBI in the top of the 6th. Then Michael Conforto found his swing on Monday and he hit a single in the top of the 6th. So it was just joy for everybody.
Joy to the world, ladies and gentlemen. Any other comments on that Marlins series?
We did get to see James Outman. So we saw him get brought up. He made his season debut on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday he hit a 3-run home run in the top of the 9th. And we did see a lot more small ball in that series too. So a lot of long ball things happen. But before we kind of segue into the Diamondback series, it was just a little back and forth in those games. But even that Tuesday game, it was a close game. Had it not been for that, I think it was a walk-off on Tuesday, that game was within reach. Yeah, it was a walk-off in the top of the 10th.
JP Fireeisen.
Poor guy.
He got initiated back on the Dodgers, and I mean at this point, I mean the offense definitely looked off on Tuesday, but then of course they bounced back in the last game of that series and drop a 10 spot, which is what baseball is all about.
Your favorite type of game.
Exactly. do you want anything else before we talk about the Serpientes?
No, I think that was pretty much it as far as the Diamondbacks, unless there's something you want to do.
The thing is about the Serpientes series, so this is the first time the Dodgers have played a team other than the Rockies of Colorado in the National League West. And a lot of people are saying right now, especially right now, that the National League West is probably the best division in baseball. When you have those teams, the show pods, the Gigantes, they are on the top of all of Major League Baseball, towards the top in terms of wins. So they are playing very good baseball. It is really, really competitive. So pretty soon we're going to see the show pods. We're going to see the Gigantes. The Dodgers are going to be playing these teams that are playing really good baseball. So it is really nice to see how they measure up against the Serpientes series.
Especially when they don't have all their players. Like we still have not seen cohesion since the season started because key people in that lineup continue to just go in and out, whether it's Freddie or Mookie. And now we're seeing Teoscar and Tommy Edman. And those guys were big on the offense. Obviously, we're seeing Freddie and Mookie start to pick that up. Shohei. Will Smith has been pretty consistent. He stayed above 300 since the season started, but you don't have all of those pieces moving in line.
I think it is very encouraging that they were able to stay competitive, that they were able to split that series, especially with them missing the pieces that they are missing. But Tony Gonsolin pitched a great game. This is the first team I think he's pitched against that isn't the Marlins of Miami in 2 years, because his last start before he got hurt 2 years ago was against the Marlins of Miami, and his first 2 starts this year were against the Marlins of Miami. So
he's like, I'm done with them. Be gone.
So I think it was a really good test, and he did a great job. Look, and I know a lot of people are making an issue about Yamamoto and not going on his traditional extra days rest, and he did not look as sharp as he did when in his previous starts. I honestly think he had a bad game. I think it's
and
too
not
soon.
even necessarily a bad game. He had a bad inning. That grand slam didn't do him any favors in the 4th. But I mean, outside of that, yeah, he did get kind of behind in some of those pitch counts. But I mean, he wasn't doing too horribly. Just it was the walk, the single, the hit by pitch, and then the grand slam. Just oof.
I know there's this narrative that that he is much better when he gets that extra day of rest. But I will say this, in the playoffs, he wasn't getting that extra day of rest, and he pitched really well in the playoffs.
Did you hear? I don't know if we talked about that, but it came out that Kike Hernandez took him out and had coffee for 2 hours during the postseason when he was struggling, like in the beginning of it. And after that, he came back and bounced back for like the last rounds of the playoffs, and he was amazing.
I did not know that. So Kike is the Yamamoto whisperer?
Kike, safety first.
Safety first.
Yeah.
Look, there was a couple of games in that series where the Dodgers pitchers got hit hard. And the Roki game. Okay, let's talk about that Friday game, because that Friday game was nuts.
Hold on, let me get to my stats, because we have another Opta stats for that one.
That one, to me, that felt like I was watching a softball game. So go ahead, give me the stats on that Friday game.
I knew that your head was probably exploding. So according to Opta stats, the Dodgers are the only team in the MLB in the modern era to take the lead, then trail by 2 or more runs, then lead by 5 or more runs, then trail by 3 or more runs, then lead by 3 or more runs, all in one game. So congratulations, Doyers. That game, 14-11, and it was close at the end. Like, I was watching it at the brewery, and there were people around me like making negative comments about the Dodgers, and then Shohei hit that home run, and it was just like, shh.
All right. So you brought it up. Let's get into it because it was a debate where I was. It was a debate all weekend when people were asking me, when Shohei hit the home run, did he show up Gurriel?
See, I don't know, because I didn't even notice that that's what he would have done until somebody did like the side by side where they did like the hit on top of it. I honestly, if you had asked me, is Shohei capable of doing that, being like kind of catty and sassy, I would have said no, but it did look similar. So I didn't see a post game where anybody asked him that.
Yeah, no,
I
nobody asked him that, and I'm sure it was by design that nobody
Yeah.
asked him that. But I will say this, Amy, I think he did. And it to
Or did
me,
he get caught up in the moment and he was just like, ah, that bat
no,
flip, that bat flip, that was amazing, I have to say.
for me, I think he did it. I think he did it on purpose,
Are you
and I was
saying he took
shocked.
offense?
Yeah, I was shocked because I feel like it's so out of character for him. And it was interesting because one of the guys I was at a get together over the weekend, and one of the guys who's not a Dodger fan, and he saw it, and he said to me, he was like, "Do you think that's the American baseball influence on him? That he's gotten caught up in this whole showboating thing?" And I was like, I
Mm,
don't know, but what I will say this is I thought it was very out of character for him to do it. Now, this is where all the Oliver Stones came out, and then they started telling me, was like, well, Juan, Gurriel is related to the other Gurriel who
right.
made the racist gesture in the World Series. Now,
Who?
for
Let's
me,
get this straight, because there were a lot of comments. I was talking about this with my best friend where people thought that it was Lourdes who made that
no,
comment, and it wasn't. It
Lourdes
was
wasn't.
Yuri. So to set the record straight for all the people who were calling the wrong one a racist, it was not Lourdes.
I mean, they are brothers. They are
So,
brothers,
yes,
but
correct, but we have not heard or seen anything out of his mouth, so I don't wanna accuse somebody who hasn't
now, I don't think we can
publicly.
go for sure to say that Shohei had that in his file and
Mhm.
was basically, taking revenge on the Gurriel family for that racist gesture. That to me is a bridge too far. But I do think that for Shohei to react the way he did and with the exact same celebration that Gurriel did in that game, I do think it was on purpose. I am very surprised that Shohei did it. It's a game in May, which really makes me wonder, and I know we're going to talk about this later on, how much smack talk was going on in that game between those two teams.
I
Like,
just
part of me feels like Shohei reacted the way he reacted because maybe something was said by the Serpientes earlier in that game, especially when they tied the game or when they took the lead. And the Dodgers, at this point, that's why you don't break the rules of smack. You don't break the rules of smack until the game is over.
you don't this is why I don't like smack talking or speculation in this sense, because like we're not gonna know. I mean, I would go if we did have to make a guess, like, because that's so out of character for him. You don't know what the team was collectively saying in the dugout to each other, and he had the opportunity and it was front of mind because they were all talking about it. So to me, I would take it because he has been more comfortable with everybody, that, maybe they were all discussing it and it was a spur of the moment, like it was already top of mind because it was in the dugout. But at the end of the day, he did it. Like, I mean, it's almost like any of that stuff. Like, I have this shirt with Bruised Dark Gratterall with, it's like, what is it? Oh God, it's blow kisses, not leads. Like, there's all kinds of stuff in the
But
game.
here's the difference. That Bruised Dark came in a playoff, right?
Right.
And so, which I totally get that, getting caught up in the emotion in a playoff game. Even when Mookie hit that home run last year in Anaheim, and he was really, really adamant with his reaction, that was because they had walked the guy before him, and Mookie was getting disrespected,
You,
right?
So you're freezing, you're max headrooming a little. So what you were saying was that Mookie was disrespected, so then he came back with that. And like you said, we're never gonna know what happened either during the game between those teams on the field. I mean, for the most part, you do see those guys, they land on first base, second base, whatever, they're chatting it up, like smiling usually with those people, the people on the other side of the opposing team. I mean, at the end of the day, for me, it just comes down to like, he did it. We don't know what his motivations are unless he wants to speak on it. It's like, I took it for what a great move. I loved the bat flip. I loved the gesture. I don't care if Gurriel did it earlier in the game. I just loved that he was so in the moment and so caught up in it that it was just, that's the whole, like, how can you not be romantic about baseball? You know, whatever aside, like, it was just a beautiful moment.
Am I still max headrooming right now?
Your face is, but your voice is not. So, all right, I think we're continuing.
Okay, am I back?
You are back. Yes.
These are technical difficulties.
So just bear with us while Juan's house blows away. Hopefully, you don't have a Dorothy Gale moment and you end up, we're gonna be. Who do you want to be in Wicked?
Neither. I'm good. I'm good.
You can just be Dorothy. You'll
That's
be
right.
Juan Gale
Dorothy
from Kansas.
Dorothy, look, in the end, I would not be surprised if it came out that they were talking smack. I was surprised by it. All I'm saying is if you're going to do that, then you need to be prepared to get the response from the other team. That's all I'm saying is if you're going to do that, and then let's say the Diamondbacks come back and it's tit for tat, right? They're going to go back and forth.
You don't think he knows that, or the team knows that? Like, they're adults.
Yeah, but it like all the smack they talked on the Yankees. When the Yankees come to Dodger Stadium, you better hope that you can back up that smack talk, because if the Yankees come to Dodger Stadium and they sweep you or they embarrass you, you best believe they're going to bring up those comments that you made during the World Series or after the World Series.
But okay, I'm going to pull a Kenley Jensen. So what? Okay,
who
so
cares?
what?
Who
cares? Like, I've been in a pump up the volume, like, whatever mood.
Is that a Christian Slater reference?
Yeah, so be it.
Wow,
so
ladies, who had that on their bingo card, ladies and gentlemen? Pump up the volume reference.
It's kind of fit my mood this weekend, but it just, like, so what? So what? They talked smack in the moment back then. If they come back, whatever happens with the Yankees, who cares? Like, it's going to be on the field that day. All of that is in the past. And that's, to me, that's like the baseball mentality. It's we're moving forward. Kind of like their whole thing. Like, the World Series was before. We talked smack before. Now we're in this moment. So what's the go forward? And they'll have to figure it out when they meet them on the field in May. I believe it's May 30.
Yeah, it's the end of May.
May 30th, 31st, and June 1st, I believe.
Do you is there anything else you want to say about the Serpientes series because I think that's a good segue to our next topic.
I did want to just say the 3 box from Jose Castillo, and I think it was Ketel Marte who ran in to try to be like, whoa, I don't think he even knows what's happening. Me and my friend were watching it on FaceTime. And so, like, the first one was like, wait, what did he do? And then by the second time when you saw, I think it was Marte who ran in, Marte or Perdomo ran in, I think it was Perdomo, and was just like, whoa, he doesn't understand what he's doing. And then it happened the following inning again, and it was just like, this poor guy. Like, you got to figure out.
And a lot of times some of those balks that are called are so, like, minuscule that even the announcers are sitting there asking themselves, well, what did he do? Like,
my best friend even called out. She was like, for one umpire, or the majority of umpires, it may be nothing. And for that umpire, he picked up on it, and that's his thing.
Yeah. Anything else?
I did enjoy seeing Freddie Freeman hit that home run into the pool. I don't know. I am not a person who would go swimming during a baseball game myself, but, more power to the people who could potentially be hit by a ball in the pool.
Look, Arizona is hot, and if
would you do it? Would you go swimming?
If I had that pool to myself, absolutely, because I'm a sweater.
But you don't have it to yourself, so you're sweating in that pool with everybody else.
I thought they don't they put that out to groups to
Well,
reserve that area in the
you
pool?
know, there's a lot of people in that area. So do you know everybody in that group?
Well, so you are anti-public pool is what you're saying.
I'm not. It's situational. Like, I don't know who you all are sweating in this pool. Like, I'll pass. I can't. If I'm gonna sweat in the game, I'm gonna sweat in the game, and then I go back to my hotel room and I'm gonna shower.
I will say this, you are not wrong, but there are a lot of times, and maybe it's because I'm a man, I think about that too late after the fact. I'm
Mm.
already if I'm sweating and I can't take it anymore, you best believe I'm gonna pull a cannonball in that pool to cool down.
Okay, ham.
Exactly. I'm gonna go full ham. I'm gonna go full ham on that.
All right, Sandlot reference.
That's right. Look, they split the series. I think it's going to be very interesting. I want to see how they match up against the show pods when they see the show pods and the Gigantes. Uh, the Diamondbacks always seem to play the Dodgers tough at the beginning of the season. Let's see what they look like the next time they see them.
And the
Yeah,
playoffs. And the playoffs.
yeah, I think it's still crazy that, we're going into the middle of May and they still haven't played the show pods and they haven't played the Gigantes. But like you had mentioned, look, we saw the Serpientes' best pitchers in this series. We saw all of them. We saw Fott, we saw Gallen, we saw Rodriguez, who they really shelled, and we saw Corbin Burns. Last year the Dodgers took it to Corbin Burns. This year Corbin Burns held serve.
Said I'm bringing it back.
Exactly. So I think this was a good test. You went into their home, you split the series, and you're not at full strength. So again, I know
And
that
they
Dodgers.
still managed to win. And that's the thing I think people forget is everybody plays up to the Dodgers. Like they have a target on their back for a reason. People are going to play, not that they don't play good ball against other teams, but like it's almost that spite factor of like, oh, we're going to win.
And
And
that may be the case, but what I just find more impressive is that the Dodgers are able to hold their own when they're not at full strength, knowing that these teams are giving them their best. So there really is no excuse here. Like this is the time you probably should be beating the Dodgers because the Dodgers aren't at full strength.
well, and let's just remember they're human. They're not going to win every game. It is not by design that anybody will ever win 162 games. And kudos to the person who finally pulls it off, that team, but I doubt we're going to see that in our lifetime. So I don't think we're doing too badly considering how this season has gone.
So they're going to come back home and they have a stretch where they're going to play the Athletics and they're going to play the Angels. Two teams that the Dodgers should, I don't want to say get fat on, but the same stretch where they were getting the Marlins, they get them twice in a 9-game stretch. Go ahead and take advantage. The Dodgers have gone from an 8-game winning streak to a 7-game winning streak early in the season and then going 500 baseball. I have a feeling, Amie, hopefully we're going to see another 6-game or something winning streak again with these stretches. And they have to take advantage of these teams that they're supposed to beat, especially in a very competitive division.
Yeah. And I guess, and that's kind of going to segue us into our next topic. Like baseball is hard. Especially when I'm doing my like regular work week and then I work at the stadium on the weekends and then I have other stuff going on. We're doing this podcast. Same thing for you. You're busy doing family stuff. Like life is exhausting. And they do this every day for 10 to 12 hours every day and rarely get a day off. So like the fact that they are performing at the levels that they do and they are going to lose games, like that's just baseball. Like it's going to happen because these guys are playing their hearts out, but they're going to be tired too. And how often are they getting days off? Today? And they were probably like, granted, they're coming back home from Arizona, but they're still traveling home after 10 days, trying to get acclimated. And they're going to go back and play, another, 3 days? Let's see. The next 3 is against the Athletics. And then you've got, you're going straight into the weekend with 1 day off after 10 days.
That's true. It's amazing. I know Federico seemed very, very happy to be coming home after he was getting interviewed by Kirsten on Sunday. But so we've been hinting at it. So Amie, I don't know if you saw this story that happened over the weekend with the Astros pitcher Lance McCullers. So it seems that Lance McCullers and his family received threats on social media after he pitched poorly during a game on Saturday. They lost against the Rojos. Amie, have we reached a point? And it seems like we talk about an incident like that. I know we've already talked about 2 other incidents earlier in this year. We saw what happened with Max Muncy and the bus in Chicago, and then there's
fact
the
that
issue.
we should be fanning better.
Not only fanning better, but at this point, I'm going to take it a step further, Amie. Does Major League Baseball need to? I don't know if they need to do something, but does Major League Baseball need to have this on their radar and at least come up with some sort of plan? Because the social media thing, I think, is not a surprise. We've been seeing this, but we're starting to see it translate in the stands towards players. That is with fans interfering with plays. And I don't know if I ever remember fans getting physical with players, and maybe this is just the advent of social media because we see more, and these incidents did happen before. We just never saw them because not everybody was walking around with a camera like people are now. But
Well, and that's what I brought up in our show before. I think the prevalence is because you have more access to this information quicker. You're not waiting for national news to pick up a big enough story and then have that trickle down to regional news. I think, to your point, the MLB should have already had this on their radar. This is something I have hated about sports since I have joined it. So it's not new to me. And especially as a woman in the stands, we get this treatment turned on us, and it's even uglier to the players. So maybe men aren't experiencing this, but we get this all the time. And ask a woman, she's got a story. To me, the way that people talk to players, that's part of the reason I won't sit in the pavilion. I was out there, I think last year or the year before, and the way that a father was teaching his son to heckle and catcall and say horrible things to the player in the outfield is disgusting to me. I don't like it. I know some people think that's part of the game. It's sportsmanship. I'm going to rattle him. And to me, it goes down to the, like, who are you? Like, oh, you're gonna rattle the professional in the field by saying horrible things about his mother, like, or you could just enjoy the game. That's where I will never understand it. But to me, this has been a problem. It is a problem. It's going to continue to be a problem until somebody does something about it. And I don't know what you do. How do you rein in people who are, in essence, what we're hearing here, keyboard warriors? I think I saw one of the things on a comment thread saying they should make social media accounts have to be tied to, a person, like an actual identity. And that's something I've seen. Like, I have my first and last name. My legal name is on my profile. I have my face. I'm not hiding behind a caricature or an image or a made up name. That's who I am. Anything that I say, I'm very careful on social media because of the blowback that you can get. That's not the case with the majority of people who are making comments like these. And this isn't the only person that it's happened to. Lucas Giolito reported it. I mentioned it from the Boston Red Sox documentary. I think it's Brian Bayo. He was told they hope him and his family get into a car crash when they leave the stadium. Like, to what end? Why?
To your point, I don't know how you deal with it. I really don't. My concern is we're going to have a situation here where we're going to end up with 2 Robert De Niro movies. Okay.
Oh my God.
We're going to end up with either the fan. Are we going to wait until a fan actually ends up killing a player and then being like, hey, we need to do something about this? Or in Cape Fear, where, poor Nick Nolte can't do anything because they have to wait until Max Cady does something and then they can go after Max Cady. I just thought the McCullers thing was just really troubling because I don't know, especially with now the way society is now, Amie. I don't know that you can dismiss these kind of things. Like I mean, this was almost 20 years ago or even longer when Monica Seles got stabbed on a tennis court. I thought, wow, that is like the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like, is it gonna? Again, I would feel bad for a player You can't dismiss it. So now, out of my own money, I got to hire protection for my family because I have to take this serious. Because what if this person is freaking crazy and decides they want to take it out on my family because I can't give them 5 innings of shutout ball today?
Well, and they actually got the police department involved with this. But to your point, what can they do in a situation like this until something's done? If it's a threat, I mean, I've had my own issues with crazy people in my life, and I was told the same thing by police. Oh, until they do something to you, there's not anything that we can do to protect you. And it's like, okay, so let me just live my own Lifetime movie first, and then, and that's got to be frustrating because these guys are on the public stage. And Max Muncy said something in an interview too, where it's like, these guys know what they sign up for. I still don't think that this should be part of it. We are fans. We should be enjoying this game. We should be embracing our team. But he said it's also the family members who take the brunt of this, the wives, the girl, the kids, the girlfriends, the family, the moms and dads. Why are they having to hear like, oh man, your husband sucks at the plate right now, or your boyfriend is what does that serve? That's where, like, I know that sometimes we're glib on here, but I typically mean it when I say, who cares? What does it matter? It's a game. We're supposed to enjoy this. If we are picking this game apart so much that we are denigrating these players, I think you're in the wrong sport. Like, people say women are emotional all the time. I saw a post where they were talking about this topic and they were like, watch a man's team lose a baseball game and have somebody punch a wall. And it's like, people have these visceral reactions to a game that we should be enjoying. The fact that Lance McCullers Jr. had to come out and say, I understand people are very passionate and people love the Astros and love sports, but threatening to find my kids and murder them is a little bit tough to deal with. I feel like he was overly kind in that statement. And that's something that we talked about last week, saying, oh, but these are passionate players. This goes beyond passion. This is ugly, and this is not necessary in the sport. It's the same thing with Giolito. It's the same thing with Bayo. With any of these people who are receiving these threats, this is unacceptable behavior, and something needs to change. And I saw there was an article that attributed some of it to gambling, saying that the overturning of that Supreme Court decision in 2018 has led to people having maybe more I guess we'll keep using the word passionate feelings about somebody's outcome, because if I bet, some of my money on this, maybe that's going to pay my bills and I'm hoping to turn it over if gambling is an addiction in my life, or I just like gambling. If that pitcher, that player leaves me hanging, I have a more visceral reaction to it. I think gambling could definitely play into it, but I think this goes far beyond gambling, and it's just how people feel entitled to these players. And again, to me, it's unacceptable behavior. We are adults and we should act like it.
It's a very interesting point that you just bring up, because I am curious if that guy who went after McCullers and his family, if he did lose money that day, that on that game in particular. There's I was doom scrolling and I came across, and I don't even know because I don't follow her, so I don't know like the algorithm why it shows up on my Instagram. But Bobby Miller's girlfriend shows up on my social media, and she's out there doing her own thing and all that stuff, but she doesn't hide the fact that she's in a relationship with Bobby Miller. And I thought to myself, Amie, I wonder how much grief she gets. Like, how many messages or comments does she get saying Bobby Miller sucks, and stuff like that? And she didn't ask for any of this, right? And she's getting it. So it's become one of those things. The reason why I wanted to talk about it is I feel like every week we're getting a story like this, and it's so easy. I remember,
but dive into the comments of any potentially controversial chat or any game or any post about a player. If you dive into the comments, there are horrible things being said all the time. It may not border on death threats, but people are unkind all over the place, to the point where, like, if somebody calls it out, they're like, we're just joking. This is the game. You don't get it, to the one person who's trying to have the moral high ground. And to me, that's where it really does come down. Like, this is something I am completely passionate about because I hate it in the game. I hate it. We need to be adults. This isn't funny. Like, if you wouldn't want somebody to do this to you, you should not be doing it to other people. And we should be adults and grown-ups about it. Nobody should have to tell you that this is not okay.
And to tell you the truth, now I feel bad because I sit there going back to the Max Muncy incident where I was like, it's so easy for me to say, hey, dude, just ignore it. You have more to lose than that guy does. Just keep going. And, because Max was like mad dogging the guy. And now I see the Lance McCullers thing. And it's like, I don't think as a player you can ignore it because, again, you don't know. I don't think you can take these things lightly or, for granted because that guy could be crazy.
Welcome to being a woman. This is like that whole bear versus whatever, like
Gorilla
debacle.
versus 100 men.
Yeah, but this is the thing, like where you don't know who's safe and unsafe, whether that's a fan in a baseball stadium who's threatening to harm you. Like this is a problem with society, and the fact that people think that it is okay to treat other humans this way is a problem. It's not okay.
Oh, the bear versus man one, that was a different one. That was the one where who would you rather have chasing you, a bear or a man? And I think the answer is, well, what was the answer? Was it, well, the bear?
It's a bear, because a bear's not going to ask me what I was wearing, or like a bear's not going to do. Just there are many reasons why we choose the bear. Trust me.
Wow. Yeah. So
and in this case, if you're bear versus fan, I think in this case players are going to choose the bear versus these fans, because you don't know which fan is the Robert De Niro to your Wesley Snipes. And
counselor. Now do you care? Yeah, I just mixed two. So I know I mixed two lines there. So nobody come at me. I know that I started doing Cape Fear and then I switched into the fan with, now do you care? Now do you care?
But that should, like, these guys are there to play a game and they work hard. Like this was so Sam Blum just wrote an article in The Athletic, and he actually met with Washington. Oh God, what is his first name?
Ron Washington, the manager.
Ron Washington, to run through like infield drills before the game. And he purposefully did it before all the players arrived. And he said it was like 51 minutes of hell, because he thought it wasn't going to be a big deal and he knew better. And he still went out there to run drills. And it is hard. The fact that people feel like they can criticize, say all this stuff. That's why I'm very careful what we say on this show too, because to me, it's not our job to knock down these players. They're going to knock themselves down enough. Like, this is why I want to celebrate the humanity of the game, the beautiful moments. Can we talk critically about plays and things like that without harming the player themselves? Absolutely. But to do what these guys do at a level where they're also not near their families all the time, they're always on the road, they're getting very little rest, they are putting their bodies to the test. I feel like we should be celebrating them, not knocking them down or threatening them with death, or their families. His two little girls, they may not know what's going on, but he has to be in fear for them. Like somebody had posted, like, go to the batting cages, go see how you do compared to, the slowest pitches. And to me, that's part of why I go to the batting cages. It keeps me humble. It's a great stress reliever, but it's also to remind me, like, I'm hitting in the softball cage. I'm not even in the 90-mile-per-hour cage or the 50-mile-per-hour cage. It keeps you humble. Go grab a fantasy baseball team. Most people say, oh, it's too many games, I don't want to do that. Well, yeah, that's what managers do all day when we're criticizing them, when we're being like couch managers. All these players are on the IL. What am I supposed to do? I can't trade. I can't do this. I'm stuck with this team. And now right now I'm ranked 8th. Last week I was 5th. I can't control all these things. But it's stuff that like gives you perspective on this game, and it's not even real. Like, I don't have to go play on the field to know I couldn't do it. There are all these ways that we could humble ourselves so that we can come to this game and we can celebrate the players on there. And yet many people just choose to armchair manage and knock these guys down. And I'll never understand it.
I will say this. There is a line. There's what happened to Lance McCullers, and then there is accountability. I do think there is still two different things. I do think players are, allowed to be held accountable. But the stuff that happened with Lance McCullers, the stuff that happened with Max Muncy, the stuff that happened with the Red Sox, that's the player that's crossing a line. That
accountable in one way,
like in terms of performance, or representing your team. Like if you do something like Julio Diaz, you do something, Trevor Bauer, you do something that puts the team not only in a bad light, but the game of baseball. I think there is an accountability there that you can be criticized.
I think the Julio Rodriguez stuff, that's going to be different than, a guy coming back from a 950-day absence. It's his second start and he faces 8 batters and allows 7 runs and records 1 out. He already feels like crap. Trust me. If anybody feels like crap, it's that guy. So like, who does he have to be accountable to? He didn't go out there with the intent to give up all those runs. That's the part where I don't understand. Like, what do you guys want from these players? You want them to stand up there and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to give those up." But they didn't. Like, nobody goes out there and is like, "Yeah, my plan is to give up. Oh, I'm going to give up 8 runs today. Oh, I only gave up 7. Dang it. I didn't meet my goal of being the worst player in the world." Like, I think there is accountability, and Julio, Trevor Bauer, they fall into that category. Somebody who had a bad day, they don't owe us anything for that. They're already playing with the head trash in their head, and they're going to go be accountable to their team and their manager. They don't owe us that, in my opinion.
No, that is a fair point. And in terms of the accountability, though, that is handled, I think, by the manager and the front office. Because if that one bad start turns into 7, 8 bad starts in a row, I think you owe it to the rest of the team. This is the performance aspect that I'm talking about, where there has to be an accountability in terms of, look, I know you're trying out there, man, but you're not getting the results that we need. Look, I know people were throwing a parade when Conforto got 2 hits on Sunday, but, at the end, pretty soon, the Dodgers are going to have to start looking at the productivity that they're getting out of left field. And I know Roberts is already getting the questions, but they're going to have to decide, okay, how can we get more productivity out of that position? Does it mean giving Conforto less playing time? Does it mean giving someone else more playing time? And if we do that, does that give us a better chance to win? That is the normal type of accountability that I expect in Major League Baseball. What happened with Lance McCullers
Which I
is
think is
passing a line,
happening.
is crossing a line.
Yeah. To agree with you, I think that's what is happening, because you see a pattern and managers are addressing it. That's why people get optioned, they get DFA'd, or, for whatever reason. Okay, we've identified this pattern. You were there for the saddest Christmas ever.
Yeah.
At that point, there was accountability. The players understand that, and that's between the manager and the team. It almost feels like fans feel like they get to interject themselves into that. And to a certain extent, you are beholden to your fan base, because those are your season ticket holders. Those are the people who come to games, but not to the level I think everybody thinks they're entitled to. At the end of the day, we are fans. This is a game. To your point, when Conforto does hit those 2, gets those 2 hits, we should be celebrating. That's what we
Yeah.
want him to do. You're going to have the people on the other side of the aisle. Well, that's his job. He should be doing that. Yeah, he should be. But baseball is hard. So let's celebrate the wins where we can get them and hope he can start that pattern going and keep it going, versus why are we knocking him down when he's just getting back up? Like, I guess for me, fandom comes down to, if you wouldn't want somebody coming to your life, your work, and doing the same thing to you, we should not be doing it in baseball, because this is their work. They get paid to do this. We are paying part of that salary, but let's treat people like humans. So,
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Amy, do you have any last words? Anything else you want to bring up?
So I did attend the women's conference last
that's
Friday
right.
at Dodger Stadium for the Women in Sports Conference, which was amazing. There were 500 women there. They had different panels speaking about how women impact the sport and entertainment and how we can keep that momentum going. So it was the 4th annual. So it was a really motivating group of women together. I hope we can kind of keep that momentum going. And then I did get to talk to some people this last week. So the Cooperstown Symposium is coming up soon at the Hall of Fame of Baseball, and there's going to be a panel. So anybody who is working on their book club, there is a book, Breaking into Baseball, by Jean Ardell, and she was the person who originally what is the word I'm looking for? Proctored the panel. It's called Skirting the Diamond. So I'm going to get to participate at the next Cooperstown Symposium and talk about women in baseball. So if you want a new book, grab something to read.
How are the highlights? Is there anything specifically you want to? I know it was hot, right?
Oh my gosh, it was so hot. I had a sun hat, luckily. I got to see Sujo talk. So she moderated a panel on like content creation and like media and things like that. There was another panel of women who got to speak to like people who work in the front office and what their journey looked like. So it was really interesting just to see these women who have worked their way up, and kind of the theme of the day was that it's not a linear path. Like everybody thinks you start here and you just move your way up and then you're there, and it really is this bouncing around. And it resonated with a lot of the women I spoke with, because like I didn't start out in sports media. I have, accounting, I went into sign language interpreting, and then I have all these other paths that I followed, but everywhere along the way I picked up things that, what I do in my job now reflects to talking to you on this podcast and being able to do that and not, go into my usual introvert, like, I don't want to talk, like I'm shy. And that was the theme that we saw with a lot of the people. So we saw one of the VPs from the production company Shondaland, one of the actresses from Scandal. So it was just people all across the board in entertainment and sports, just talking about how they started, how they got to where they were going, and just trying to impart some of that wisdom. So if you ever get a chance to attend, they're going to have another one next year. It's usually at Dodger Stadium. It's pretty interesting.
Good turnout.
Yeah, it was full. 500 people.
In terms of pricing, is it reasonable, or should people start saving all their nickels and dimes now?
I mean, start saving. It was, if you wanted just a regular ticket, it was about $100. It included lunch and breakfast. And then you got like a cute little like gift bag of goodies, and they were actually some pretty cool items. So for the speakers that you get to be around, I mean, aside from the sun, like to me, it was worth it. So if you can save up to go next year, definitely worthwhile, in my opinion. If you want to be motivated and like be around like-minded people who are trying to move some of these sports entertainment forward for women.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Make plans for that for next year. Anything else?
No.
Okay, well, that's going to do it for this episode. For those of you that have been listening on the audio portion, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Rate us, write us a review, help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amie, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.